Hello and welcome to the Ink Archive. My name is Briar and I'm joined with Tyler here as we go through our finals of Set Champs here for the Arcasia's Island. And we are in our finals here. We have some great games that we've seen here, and we have led it up all the way to the final matches. And Tyler, tell us who are our finalists for this matches.
Hey everybody, so today we have two players. We've seen both of these players before. We have George is on our left-hand side here playing Ruby Sapphire. And then on our right we have Adam on Blurple. Both players of exceptional talent. They're both very good at what they do. These players have been on both of these decks for quite a while now. I know George likes to experiment a little bit more, but he's been playing Ruby Sapphire for a while, and especially since the banning of Hiram. He's really stuck with this deck, and it's like the one deck that he's really liked, and Adam's been on Blurple for forever. So this will be kind of a masterclass of both of these archetypes, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, these players have had the experience with these decks for a very long time, and both have experienced the ban of Harem, and seeing what it has done to both of their decks. I know Adam didn't really use it a whole lot, but of course you kind of had to with the way the meta was shaping out to be. But now since it kind of gets to go away and not really have that card in there, now we get to see kind of what the full potential of what Blurple can really do against this Ruby Sapphire list.
Yeah, so if I had to say, I think Blurple has the slight advantage here. Adam is on Binders, Keepers, and Friends on the other side, and so he gets to refuel a bunch, which is something that Ruby Sapphire looks to play Be Prepared and Seasuit and try to burn a bunch of resources and hope that their opponent overextends. And Blurple just gets to kind of ignore it and just go, okay, I'm going to play a couple of characters, and then I'm going to wait for you to be prepared, and then I'm going to do it again. And while you're waiting for them to be prepared, you can play Finders Keepers. You get to gain card advantage through, like, slow means. The one thing Blurple can have a hard time with is something like McDuck Manor. So if George can leverage his McDuck Manors, it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, we do get to see Adam here play this Popsicle, and then being able to play this Bell for free, which is good. And we see George here playing to develop your brain to kind of find some of the cards he needs to either find this ramp so that he can go and get some quicker ink here to play his higher cost cards quicker. And it looks like he's found a couple of those cards. Looks like he has a Tipo in hand, potentially. But he does have that Azurite, which is the better option here.
Yeah, notably Adam has like every bell in his deck in his hand right now. So he has some free ink for the next couple of turns, but it also means that his playables are kind of low, while George is just gonna ramp super hard. I see that he has a Be Prepared in his opening hand here. So that's quite scary if Adam plays into it too hard.
Yeah, no, and it looks like he also has a Sisu. I don't know if the Sisu really affects anything in the Blurple matchup that much. I mean, it hits a couple of cards, but I don't know if it hits everything here. But he does have that as a big body if he needs it. But definitely that B prep is definitely a big card to be played here.
Yeah, Sisu hits Genie and it hits the Elsa, and that's about it.
It also hits Peter Pan, if that matters.
Yeah, he's on the Peter Pan, so it does hit the Peter Pan too. But other than that, that's a good call. Oh, and Tipo, I guess, but he doesn't care about Tipo. So there's not anything like super crazy that it hits that Adam truly cares about or can't play around so that he doesn't lose like his entire board for it. Everything else is like free strength or higher, and so George really has to find his Be Prepared against this deck. Notably, too, George is he's only on 2 Sisus, so the scars that he's actually on might help a little bit more.
Yeah, no, those might actually be a better choice to play against and to have against this match. Of course, you gotta hope that that he doesn't have to run into some of these evasive characters during that turn, because there's really a hard way to deal with evasives in in George's deck here. I mean, besides the shark, that's really about all the options he has for evasive.
Yeah, that's like the one tough spot. So it's nice that he's split between the Sisu and the Scar because it gives him the tools to deal with both things. But yeah, it's not as easy for him to deal with these evasives as it might be some other kinds of decks.
Yeah, and we do get to see Adam here play this Bell and a Diablo here, kind of just putting some bodies on board to try to get some lore kind of quickly. Since really George isn't really doing a whole lot here, besides just inking, playing one card, action to ramp up, and passing. Now we do get to see a Grammatala here to find hopefully a card. He gets to decide between this Micduck Manor or a Scar. And it looks like he picked the Scar, I believe.
I wouldn't be surprised with this board state as it is. He does get to banish all three characters in the next turn or two here. Um, he probably looks to ramp next turn if I had to guess, so that he can play the Scar the following turn and not lose too much tempo with these three characters here. I mean, this Tala can take out a Bell or take out the Diablo. He probably has to trade with a Bell if I had to guess, but he has a couple of options here he can choose from.
Yeah, and we see that Adam here is just questing away and just playing some of his cards here. And Grammatala is just kind of just going to be sitting here, potentially knocking out one of these bells. Probably not the Diablo, so that Adam doesn't get more cards, because Adam has not a lot of cards in his hand right now. It looks like he only has, like, I think two, maybe three cards in his hand. Two cards in his hand. Now we do get to see George playing this super goof and knocking out this Diablo to gain the two lore. And now he gets to, of course, Adam gets to draw this card to give him more card advantage.
I think George has a Shark for next turn too, so that's potentially kind of scary. It will lock down Adam a little bit. I think Adam's got a Hades in his hand though, so if he can find um the ink to actually be able to play this Hades, that'll be nice.
Yeah, it looks like he does have this Hades. He also has this Cusco as well. That could take care of the Micduck Manors that might be getting played. But we see this Bell and this Peter Pan take out the Super Goof, so it's not going to be too much of a problem. But again, we may see the Shark this turn, and Shark can definitely can hold off some of this game.
Notably too, Adam has this Fox in his hand too. So he can either play Cusco or Hades and then hopefully the next turn bounce it back to his hand. So he gets to reuse it, which is like huge. Um he probably has to Inky here, I think. I think he doesn't have any other um Inkables unless he puts it off a turn, yeah.
So he decides to challenge into the Micduck Manor with his Peter Pan and the Bell, and then using this Fox to bounce the Bell back to hand to take out the Micduck Manor, which was quite interesting instead of just doing the Cusco instead.
He probably is looking at the his opponent's ink and realizing that he's pretty close to a be prepared. So he doesn't want to play too hard into the be prepared if he doesn't have to. And losing something like Hades or Cusco could be pretty big for Adam here. If I had to guess.
Yeah, that seems like just trying to play into that B prep is not good. So trying to predict when that's going to be getting played, because of course there it is, that B prep clearing the board of Adam's characters, and knocking everything out. And of course, but that's all of George's ink, so he can't really do anything after that. But now we get to see this Bell that gets to move some damage around, but of course there's no damage on board, so it doesn't really do anything. But it is a good body that quests for 2, which is good.
Yeah, the bell isn't super useful here in this matchup particularly, but the fact that it's a 4/4 that quests for 2 is enough of a threat that George does have to kind of respect it a little bit. And I think that's the nice thing about Blurple is that all of its characters are like decent threats that George has to respect, which is why I think like Adam played the genie into the be prepared forcing George to be like, okay, I actually have to deal with this board now. This genie can't sit here for too long, and force him out of the be prepared if he had it.
Yeah, and of course, it looks like he has two B preps in hand, but we do get to see that Adam did have a goat from the following turn, so he gets to gain that extra lore from that, which is good here. So it kind of just helps get a little bit closer to that 20 lore, and B prep didn't gets to kill wipe the whole board, but that that goat definitely gets to help Adam a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's notable that George has used two B preps and has a third one in his hand, and I feel like he's gotten decent value out of them. But like he's only banished 2 or 3 characters both times, and they weren't particularly like they were threatening enough, but not too much that I feel like just throwing your be prepared away can be kind of risky. But he has to. It's between this rock and a hard place kind of situation that George gets put into with how Blurple plays in general.
Yeah, definitely. And we see that we have to drop this Elsa to then make this Grandma Tala go exerted and Yago knocking it out so that this Grandma Tala doesn't seem like how far I go or anything like that. But now Yago kind of stick on board, and we do get to see a Sisu from George's side being able to knock out that Elsa and having a 5-4 with 3 lore potentially on the field here to then race a little bit more because George is falling behind. But we get to see this Hades put that Sisu in the Inkwell. So now there's no more characters on George's board, but he does have that B prep, and long behold, he does play it.
I think George has a lot of his board wipe options in his hand. I think he's got 2 scars in his hand, and he has these Pirate's Life, but like he just doesn't want to play them into like he doesn't want to have to just hard play these Pirates' Lives. This double McDuck Manor can be kind of scary though.
Yeah, no, this McDuck Manor is definitely scary to have because there's not really an easy answer for Adam to get rid of both of them. He can get rid of one with that Cusco, but that's really about it. And he does have a Fox in hand, so he could play this Cusco, get rid of one, then play the Fox to bounce it back into his hand if he needs to. So he could theoretically get rid of both of them. But with Adam having, or George having all of his pretty much removal in his hand for the most part, being able to answer a lot of things is really good. And of course, we get to see this Cusco get rid of one of the locations.
Yeah, I imagine he bounces it back to have the answer. Oh, gets the genie back. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely interesting. Getting that genie back. So he could draw a card next turn just so that, I mean, because that Cusco is okay, I guess, getting B prepped. It would be better to get rid of that location by all means. But I think he kind of wants some card draw because I think Adam's kind of low of cards in his hand currently. I think he's only got 2 or 3 cards in his hand.
Yeah, it's interesting he hasn't found something like a Finder's Keepers quite yet to be able to play. Notably, I think Adam gets to get away with getting rid of this McDuck Manor, since George didn't actually end up playing one of his scars, which I think is super interesting here. I think he wants to start getting these Pirates' Lives down. But gets Hades instead. It's one of the tough things about this matchup in particular is that the best targets for Adam for this Hades are his sharks, and so George never really gets to play a shark for free. Sharks almost become useless in this like particular matchup. You have to be able to pretty much play Pirate's Life in the same turn that you put a shark down. Otherwise, like it probably just gets 80s because your opponent is sitting there looking at this 80s in their hand and going, well, you're only going to target their sharks.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, now he has 2 sharks in hand, the Scar, and it looks like he has a couple how far it goes. I'm not for sure if he has 2 or 1 of them, but I know he has 2 actions. Oh no, it's a how far ago and a Pirate's Life. So definitely wanting to try to get this Pirate's Life down, and trying to reuse it would be definitely good to do. But since Adam's been pretty much removing all these sharks. Can't really do so. So maybe he might be able to get a drop, maybe one, maybe even both sharks down here. Um, and possibly getting some of those cards out to gain some lore and making your opponent lose lore.
Yeah, I this is looking rough for George. He's used 3 of his Be Prepared. It's kind of the only thing that gets him out of this spot right now. Um, Adam doesn't quite have lethal here. But he does have a goat in his hand, so I think he did actually. Losing Hades, not a huge deal. I don't think Adam cares too much. I think he's far enough ahead that since George hasn't been able to get these Pirates' Life down, I think it's looking a bit rough for George here.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a rough spot. And trying to come back from all this control that Adam's been putting down, because he's just been answering almost everything that George is doing here. But now it looks like he can almost get there. He's getting some ink here. He's got the cards in his hand. He just hopes that maybe these cards will stick, and seeing what we can do here. And now we're back into Adam's turn to here. I mean, Adam's sitting here at 14 lore to George's 5 is definitely a rough spot for George. And Adam's sitting in this pilot seat of just controlling this board, answering things, and things being evasive now that he has this genie and this Iago being evasive, that this Scar cannot answer at this point.
I think Adam has a goat in his hand too, so he can push to 18 here and make it really difficult for George to get back into the game. I wonder if that's something he is interested in doing, or if he's going to throw this Hades he has at this like Scar or something to hopefully maybe prevent George from singing Pirate's Life or something.
Yeah, there's an option for that. But we see this Iago take out this Grammatala, and this Genie questing for the 2, putting Adam at 16 and getting him a little bit closer, and seeing what the Scar will potentially do this following turn.
If I'm Adam here, I think I'm down to throw this Hades at Scar. I just want him to not be able to sing a Pirate's Life if he has it, and George does have a bunch of cards in his hand, so you have to imagine that George has it at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Adam is definitely in the tank here, thinking about what he should be doing here.
Yeah, I don't know what other cards besides the potentially a Hades and the goat in his hand. I don't know what else he has to really play around with. Oh, we kind of see he does have a Finder's Keepers in his hand, and he has another Genie. So he has a few options to kind of play around with, and answer some of the board.
I don't know if he's inked for the turn.
I don't believe he has at this point.
Okay. I could not remember off the top of my head.
And normally he keeps him face up, so.
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
We do get to see this Gaston now, so which is good. Digging for the 3, picking out one of those 3 options. He does get to see this Hades, which he does grab, which can answer other characters that George is going to be putting down, because he does have a lot of cards in his hand, and a lot of those will probably be some characters, because he's had to use a lot of the actions to get rid of Adam's board here.
I think George now. So we know he has a Pirate's Life in his hand. I think he has to go either find it, Be Prepared. Actually, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Puts him to 20. Yeah, he has to find it, Be Prepared. I think, even if he Pirate's Life once, it's not enough. I think Adam still has the game on board, and he has 2 goats in his hand. So I think George is on find his last Be Prepared.
Yeah, it seems like that's probably the option here, and it looks like I don't think he found it, but he's going to try to find a way to dig for it, and go through here, because he has quite a bit of ink He's got paying 4 ink for a Grandma Tala to maybe potentially find it here. And can't tell if he looks at it or find it. But now he only has, I believe, it's 6 ink left over. So he's going to have to sing it. And long behold, he
Yeah.
did find it and gets to clear that board now, which is a good spot for George. And still having the 6 ink left over here to potentially play a couple threats. Or even just play this Pirate's Life here to reduce the lure of Adam.
Yeah, I unfortunately Gadam has all these goats in his hand, and I think if he just plays all of these goats, he'll probably seal this game up, unless George finds all of his Be Prepareds or all of his Pirate's Life, and even then, I'm not sure that it gets him there. We'll have to see what George can come up with.
And we see Adam here playing a Genie and then playing Finders Keepers to draw more cards to hopefully see some of these other ways to get some lore quickly. And like he does have that goat here. And it looks like he has 2 goats, but he doesn't quite play it yet. He just plays a couple bodies here with the Genie and the Crab. And that's pretty much what he sits on and passes his turn here to go back to George to see what he can do here.
It's like I said earlier in this game, this is all about like resources, and Adam just forces George to use all of his resources so often that it's incredibly tough for George to just keep answering the board when it never seems like Adam runs out of resources and out of characters to play.
And it looks like we're going to have this Genie and this Crab here on the board, trying to figure out what Adam's wanting to do next, of either playing these goats to get to this lure, or trying to answer Jorge's board or George's board here, and seeing what he does. Of course, George only has 1 card in his hand. Plays, we're going to be playing a card here. We're going to play this Hades to put that shark into the inkwell here. And then we get to ink a Crab and paying the 6 for good friend Gaston.
Yeah. Yep. And now he's found his 3rd goat here. So I think he can quest to 17, and then if he doesn't get Pirate's Life or anything, I think this game is sealed up. I don't know that there's any way out for George here.
Yeah,
having to deal with
tough.
No more Be Prepareds for this Gaston and this Hades is definitely rough.
Yeah, there's not really much answers wise besides a B prep. I mean, even the Sisu's not going to really answer anything. Scar really won't answer anything at this point, because he just has so much characters on board. Some of them being ready, some being not. But now we get to pop this Vitalisphere, giving the Half Shark Rush to attack into this Genie, to knock it out, to grab the B prep back from the discard, and then inking the last card in his hand, questing for 2 with the Tipo, and then playing B prep to kill the board.
That was definitely smart. That was getting the Vitalisphere down. I think that's been there for a while. I don't think they just played that. Adam playing into it a bit there. I don't think Adam truly cares because he has 3 goats in his hand. So I think he knew, even if he did that, he kind of just has the game locked up. Yeah.
Yeah, and there it is.
A bit unfortunate for George. Yeah. It was definitely heads up. It was a really good play. It was his only out that he really had. But just could not beat the fact that Adam had nearly all of his goats in his hand.
Yeah, no, Adam just had a lot of cards in his hand towards that later game, just keeping control over the board as well. Way better than what George was doing. I mean, George had to pretty much answer everything, and then used all of his B preps, used a bunch of the Sisus and Scars to kind of answer the board and try to control as best as he could, and he really wasn't able to answer all of those resources that Adam was able to get.
Yeah, Finders Keepers is like an all-star in this matchup because you get to play it kind of right before they be prepared you, and then it feels like their be prepared doesn't do anything because you just refilled your hand to do it again. And so finding the turns to either get Finders Keepers down and refuel your hand, or and finding the space, the Ruby Sapphire player, like finding space to they could be prepared where it's actually going to hurt is really, really tough. Um, I think George needs to end up relying on his like McDuck manners a bit more to really get him across the line. But with Adam playing the Cusco's, it's a lot harder for that to happen. I know a lot of Blurple players aren't actually on the Cusco, so pretty heads up from Adam to be on that for this event.
Yeah, no, that was a good choice to add those Cuscos in. I think he knew a few people were going to be playing this red or the Ruby Sapphire deck here, and having those McDuck Manners in their list, and he didn't really have an easy way to answer it besides those Cuscos. So it was a good option to throw that in for this meta.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what George does on the play here. Hopefully he can find his moments to really put Blurple in an awkward position.
And it looked like George opened up with a few more removal. Like he had B prep in his hand. It looked like he possibly had a Sisu or a Scar. I couldn't tell which, but he had another one in his hand, which is good. But I don't know how good it is this early on. He wants to try to find those ramps. I didn't get to see what else he had besides those cards.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they're uninkable, so it's not like he can. I mean, he could throw them away to Tipo, but honestly, I think he needs every single one that he can get. So if he can hold on to them, that'll be good for him. I mean, he wants to see Sale anyway over Tipo. I think 90% of the time, but sometimes you just don't get there.
Yeah, it looks like he does have what is it? He has to develop a brain for turn one, and then trying to find that sale on that turn two, because I don't think he has the sale.
Yeah, if he doesn't have the Sale, that's going to be a lot rougher for him. I think if he misses his ramp, if either player misses their ramp on two, it suddenly becomes a lot worse for whoever misses it.
Definitely. And of course, we get to see George getting to go first here, um, and we are going to ink a develop and playing that popsicle to draw one card. I think it was that a Tipo or Azure? No, it was a Tipo in his hand. So he does have a Tipo in his hand, so he can play that for that following turn. Of course, we see Adam here playing popsicle turn one as well, just mirroring the same move, being able to draw a card. Now we do see George inking the Tipo. Of course, now he did get to draw that Azurite Sea, so he gets to play that.
Yeah, Sale. I've said it before, but the Sale is just so good for these decks. Tipo has just become the card that you just don't. It's good and it's worth seeing, but you'd much rather see this Sale almost every time on turn two.
Of course, we also see over here a sale on Adam's board as well. And seeing the bell come down, popping the popsicle to do so, to play it for free. So now Adam has our first character on the board to potentially either sing for a song or to even quest here, depending on what Adam needs to do for the following turn.
Doesn't look like Adam has a friends quite yet, so I imagine it's just questing. But he also may just not want to expose it to Amaui in case he does get to sing later.
Yeah, very much. And we also now we get to see George playing the Grandma Tala here, dropping this character down, grabbing a card. I didn't get to see what card it was, but he gets to grab one anyway, and hopefully get to use it the following turn or use it here soon to help answer Adam's board.
I do really like Iago in this matchup too. um, Ruby Sapphire doesn't have a way to target it, so it can't abuse the vanish ability that it has, and it does trade very well. It can take cards off the board very well, especially like this Grammatala, because it's not like it's doing a whole lot for Adam. It can quest, but it's not questing for enough to like really matter, and it can even take out this opposing Maui if he really wants it to. It's just gonna sit here and be a problem for a couple of turns.
Yeah, definitely. And now we get to see Maui come in, rushing in to take out this bell and take it out so it doesn't get to do anything. And we see Yago now taking out the Grandma Tala here. And then, of course, playing this genie to draw a card and going into inking a bell because there's no reason for it at the moment. There's no items, and it's just not a card that's really needed right now.
Yeah, an interesting point of these Barbel decks is figuring out when you can hold this bell and when you can't. It seems rather obvious, but like there is a chance you could always hold it to try and see if you get the popsicle later. But recognizing when you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna ink it because I don't actually need it or whatever, it is either for popsicle or bell. It's a little more obvious for Bella, but I think it can be a little tough sometimes when you have a popsicle and you're just like, well, I want to ink it, but I don't know if I should be because if I play it, I could get a free character later. So, and it's an interesting dynamic for um that little combo that Blurple is playing now.
Now we get to see this Elsa come down and getting rid of this Tamatoa with the Yago and the Elsa knocking it out. Which is a good thing, so this Tamatoa doesn't get to quest for a lot now and doesn't really get back any items. And of course, now we get to see this genie questing for 2, getting Adam a little bit closer every single quest.
Interesting that George tries to get this depot down. I imagine he just wants to be able to quest with it next turn and then throw this Be Prepared out so he can hopefully this manner sticks around.
Yeah, now it's going to be tough for Adam here to get rid of this location because it is a big willpower on this location. Being that 9 willpower is definitely difficult to deal with, but Adam has definitely shown that he can take care of them pretty quickly with what he's got. But now we get to see this Finders Keepers drawing some cards, refilling that hand, and getting some of those options that he needs after that B prep turn comes down.
Yeah, notably he has this Gaston in his hand, and I think that's a huge help for Adam. This McDuck Manor might get a turn or two on the board, but if he gets to get this Gaston down and then search for like a Cusco or something that even has any amount of power to be able to get rid of this McDuck Manor will be huge.
And it looks like that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be questing with that Tipo here and then playing that B prep to clear the board. And then source,
Yeah.
Adam's got this Diablo, so now he gets a draw off that banish, which is good.
Adam could even have I know he has the Peter Pan in his hand. He could have a crab. I'm not sure if I saw a crab or not.
Doesn't look like a
No.
crab. It looks like that was a genie in the back of his hand. But now he gets to find one potentially with this Gaston if he needs to.
I saw a fox and a popsicle, and I don't know what the third card is on the right. He could take this popsicle to play it and then get the bell down to pressure this McDuck Manor. I don't hate that, but fox is also extremely powerful here, just in this matchup in general. So I wonder what he'll end up taking. I think it was the popsicle.
Potentially, yeah, because I know he had a fox in his hand originally. He did grab the popsicle, yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling as much as he wanted to take the fox there, I think that was his decision, was either fox or or the popsicle, and I think he wants to get this belt down so it guarantees. So he gets to build his board a little bit and also pressure this. At least in a manner, unless George has to be prepared. Does he have another one in his hand? Oh my goodness.
So we have 2 Peter Pans, 2 genies, and I think that was a goat, right? Yeah, a goat.
Oh, it gets
No.
to okay. Peter Pan giving the genie evasive. I did kind of forget about that one. That's a neat little magic trick Adams pulled out on us.
Yes, definitely. I mean, now we get to put 8 into the location, but it doesn't stick around for long because he's got that B prep coming in, clearing Adam's board. So no more characters on the board. Just this nice little McDuck Manor.
I think George has kind of used his be prepareds in kind of a liberal manner here, and I wonder if that's going to come back to bite him in this match. I he's kind of had to, but I wonder if it was better to just give up the McDuck Manor earlier to try and do something else with his board, because just not he hasn't had a whole lot of options, I guess, with only a shark and a scar in his hand for the past couple of turns. I'm not sure what his options would have been.
So now we get to see this Elsa and this crab giving his characters the extra strength needed to knock out this crab, which is pretty big here, knocking out this crab. And now Adam gets to have some characters on board to survive, hopefully from another B prep that might be played this turn, but who knows.
Well, I know George has the scar in his hand, so he might use that to get rid of this Diablo. I have a feeling he either takes the turn to get this shark down, yeah, and then hopefully, and then he can cast his visions, yeah. Um, and hopefully this can get him out of his rut that he's in. But I think he found another Be Prepared. But that'll be his last one. Oh no, it's a Pirate's Life. George is definitely in a pickle, having used a ton of resources on trying to protect his McDuck Manor. Um, though notably, Adam's board is susceptible to Sisu quite a bit. Um, so if George can find a Sisu, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, no, that Sisu pretty much knocks
Adam
out everything except for the crab.
Adam not realizing that a crab can't challenge this shark. Bit of a misstep here from him. Wonder if he can find a way to make use of what he's done with his turn here.
Yeah, I mean, both these Elsas get to go into it, which is good, but it doesn't quite knock it out. He needs to find another way for him to get rid of the shark. Um, and he does send both Elsas into it, putting the 4 damage on the shark, just 1 shy. But now he has to find that extra 1 damage to put onto it. But now that he's left it at this 4 and passes turn, George gets to pop this popsicle to basically heal those damage, heal at least 2 of the damage off the shark here.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Adam threw his Elsas into it, knowing that he can heal it. I'm not sure exactly what Adam was trying to do with that in particular. It'll be interesting to see if he's got a plan. He's got a plan up his sleeve. Probably
I mean,
trying to make it so that his genie could attack it next turn and get rid of it, forgetting the popsicles there, but I'm not entirely sure.
yeah, there is that option. But now since Adam has his Hades, he can get rid of them pretty easily now, which is good.
Yeah, but now he's gonna also deal with this McDuck Manor, and George is pretty far ahead as it is, and he can't really attack or he can't quest, and he can't really attack this manor because George can just get a B prep back or a pirate's life, which would really really hurt.
Yeah, no, that definitely hurts. Now we get to see this Maui come down, the our rush Maui, but nothing really to rush into. It's just now a body that can actually sing some songs if need to be, or challenge into anything that does get exerted for questing. But now we get to see this
Finds
other
the other Hades
Hades
for it. Yeah.
and get rid of that half shark.
So now Adam can 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't quite get rid of the manor, but he could. He could just throw everything at the manor to try and clear it most of the way. He's just gonna quest. All right.
Quest for 6.
Yeah.
And we see, of course, George here gaining that lore from the McDuck Manor as it continues to stay on the board here, getting him closer and closer to the 20 lore. And now we get to see a Scar being played, taking out the Crab and the Diablo here. So now he gets to have some characters cleaned up. Now he just has to deal with these 2 Hades and these 2 Genies.
Yeah, I wonder. Adam's really got to find an answer for this McDuck Manor because it's gonna cost him soon. He does have a fox, which is interesting. I wonder if he can find a way to make use of that, or he's just got. Oh, he has the Cusco. Okay.
Well, Cusco works too. And now we just get to kind of quest out here and go to 16 and pretty much put lethal on board unless if there's a B prep that can pretty much answer it at this point.
Yeah, I think George has got one more in there. He could find like Vital Sphere plus a shark to find another Be Prepared if he really needs to. That could be the out he has here.
Yeah, he only has one Be Prepared left here. So he can try to find it and hope it's in this next cards. And he sees the last card, not knowing what it is here. It's a Let It Go. So that's not going to really do anything here. I think this is pretty much it.
He's got a Pirate's Life in his hand.
But I mean, Adam's at 16. He has to answer both of these. He has to answer everything. Yes, he can put it down to 2, but then he makes Adam go down to 14. But he has 2 genies and this Cusco that can quest for 6. That puts him at the exact number that he needs to be at.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough no matter what happens here. I think he can. Yeah, he's gonna sing this Let It Go to get rid of his genie. And then sing his Pirate's Life, and I think he has the Scar in his hand. But I don't think it's quite enough. Just shy of this. Oh no, actually this does...
This keeps him there. Yeah, he's too shy.
Oh yeah.
Adam's going to be too shy. He's got it. Now let's see what
a lot of resources. Yeah, there's a lot of resources from George's side, and I don't think he has any cards in his hand now. So even if, like, he's really got to find his last Be Prepared at this point.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of resources, a lot of removal that's now gone, and pretty much he only has, I think, the Sisus and one more Be Prepared left. But now it looks like we just clear the board here. Quest with the Genie puts at 16 to 16, and we sit here and seeing what George can do here to clear the board and hoping to top deck this B prep to clear the board. And his final card he drew is going to be a Sisu. Doesn't really. It only clears the 2 characters.
It does keep him alive for
It
a
does keep
turn.
him alive for a turn. It does do that. This Hades is gonna be sitting here. We're gonna have to see what else did Adam draw is the question that can help
I
him
mean,
get to where he needs to be.
yeah, Adam has his Fox, so he's probably gonna get this Hades and replay the Hades. George already knowing what's in store for him.
Yeah, I already paid the 3, knew it exactly, and then pay that to play it again. And oh, it's been a close match so far. Could be coming to an end down to this last draw. And what is the card? Oh, it's a
Not to be
Vitalisphere.
prepared. Yeah, it was very good plays from both players here. It was definitely a lot closer than I expected to be, with George having to use all of his be prepared so early. Definitely, it's definitely like Adam just always has so many cards in his hand and always has stuff to put on the board, and George is just stuck almost always trying to whittle Adam down and burn his resources, and it is just so difficult to do.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a rough spot for George, trying to do everything he can. Had to play his removal so early on and as quick as he could, just to keep control of the board, before Adam could just quest out and just win the game from there. And it was definitely a rough one, and Adam definitely took it there and was able to control and keep the card advantage in his hand and on the board as well. Just being able to answer everything, being able to bounce back cards, and just being able to do those things even more again and again and again, and just drawing a bunch of cards as well to go through it all. But definitely great plays from both players here. They definitely deserve being where they are. They are definitely up there for a reason.
Yeah, so congrats to Adam. It was great plays, like I said, from both players. They did awesome this entire event. Looking forward to hopefully seeing them next time at the next set champs in a couple of months.
Yes, definitely indeed. Thank you guys for joining us as we watched the finals for the Arcasia's Island here, for the set champs. And I hope you guys enjoyed all of this, and we will see you guys in the next one.